I was asked what the world will look like when our rulers have finished with it, at which point they'll probably collapse. They just want everywhere to look like the United States. They want everybody mongrel, hybrid, destruction of ethnicities. I've said it many times before. And of course everyone turned into a consumer, a slave to the money they print. They literally print it off of a printing press. It's so hard for us to grasp that. Here, let's stay on this side. In fact, I think we'll walk back. We'll walk through here and walk back. Well, it's some kind of a cemetery area for indigenous people. So I stopped to look. Come on, we go back. Okay? You know, people grow up born into religions, they follow the religion, and we have secular consumerism. The news tells you about the high street spending without regard to the fact that they're imports, that it doesn't really benefit the people in the country. It's irrelevant. I guess with capitalism, globalism, you know, the British bankers or New York bankers own factories in China. But that isn't the point. The point is there's a religious zeal to ensure that everyone's busy counting money and thinking of money and consuming goods and buying goods, and it's an insanity. And we're all part of it. But you could easily have an alternative system. People have died under suspicious circumstances and demonized. Hey, don't run so fast so far. Okay? Wait for me. I just mean if there was any alternative system to consumerism being promoted, that we'd find the people demonized. All our mindset is made for us. The media dictates our attitudes to other people and to ideologies, and we follow suit. We do what our media tell us, and they keep us busy with the left and the right and the political parties and the democracy, and we're also consumed by it. And really, it's not. It's all to distract us from the real goals. And you be sure these people printing the printing money that's legal and illegal, and doing fraud and every other criminal activity, they don't need more profit. They really don't need or are motivated to make more money. They rely on everyone else to crave the money, to feed their goals, to assist them in what's all too often genociding people that aren't consumers. And so we have some mythical Cold War erupting. Well, it's not so mythical. It could end in a nuclear holocaust. But you have to ask, what are the different ideologies? You know, what's the difference between Russia and America? Yeah, there's some differences about sovereignty, promoting homosexuality, but they're not deep enough to go to a nuclear war, you would have thought. But this is how a gang rules us all. And they've taken over every country by stealth, which means they've done it invisibly. Nobody saw it happening, and they've succeeded. And now they've taken over all the countries. And you look at Russia bowing down to American pressure, and it had to freeze Venezuela's bank accounts. But you look at the EU, and they went and backed Guaido, you know, the opposition figure to Maduro. And they're not telling us why. It's not really American pressures per se. I think Europeans own a lot of the Fed and whatever makes America tick, we're not privy to this information. But it's all pretty disgusting. It's all pretty disgusting. The other news item is IS brides. I mean, all these news items are put there to mold our attitudes and our minds. They're there for no other reason. And so now we've all to discuss the brides of Islamic State fighters. And I don't know, I mean, a woman wants to go off and live under Sharia law and support a man who does fight for that. It doesn't sound like she should get a life sentence to me, or have her citizenship revoked or whatever. But it's just showing you there's a war on Islam. They hate Islam. They hate Islam. They do. They just really do. It's just not consumerism. It's not usury. It's not homosexuality. It's not alcohol. It's none of the things that the West has fought for. Well, the disquiet now is large. Today is the Yellow Vest Day. I don't know what's happening in France. But there's disquiet in many countries. There's street protests. And at the same time, you have money pouring into places. Well, it's not affecting the poor. The money isn't trickling down. It's odd, all this pushing of the cryptocurrencies. I'd just like to be clear about this. The only reason for it is selfishness. It's the only attraction, it's the only motivation, it's the only reason for anyone to be interested in it. It is for selfishness. No one is buying a cryptocurrency to make the world a better place. No. And it's called money laundering if it's too anonymous. And that's illegal. So here we are, in the age of total surveillance, with smart everything, and 5G about to come. People complain about the health hazards of 5G, but what I've picked up on is the surveillance aspect of it, that they know everything you're doing. And you know, patriotism and loyalty once wasn't a dirty word, but it's looking ugly these days. It's looking like it's hate-filled. And you got people loyal to their country and their families and their God, and they're wiping people out and starting wars, and it's just terrible. And the rest of the people, these phrases of sheeple, goyim, which apparently means cattle, is totally appropriate. It's totally appropriate. You see, the 60s was a grassroots movement, a grassroots protest against what Nixon et al. Were doing, the Vietnam War. But nothing short of that is going to help us. And that means no leaders. So Macron now says being anti-Zionist is to be anti-Semitic. And there are Israeli newspaper reports of rabbis doing DNA tests to see if there's Jewish ancestry in people. I don't believe a word of it. And I know better from personal experience. And I know how insignificant and irrelevant it is, other than mafia concerns. The reality and the truth is dismissed at every stage of the way. And you can discover you don't have any Jewish heritage, and they don't care. They couldn't care less. In fact, they insist on you calling yourself a Jew. And they let in all hundreds of thousands of Russians with no Jewish heritage. They knew what they were doing. It was not an oversight. So it's all baloney. And as for your DNA tests, how far back can they go? I mean, the whole thing is ludicrous. And you can pick all sorts of people that look Jewish, but you can pick far more that don't. The whole thing is a psyop. Look, they always put this money around as fake money. you know, on that subject. I don't know, in Europe, and I guess in America, you get your change in notes and you don't inspect them and you carry on. Here, if a note has any imperfection, someone has written on it, it's got a small tear, nobody will take it. A $10 bill. And the only thing you can do is fool somebody to take it, or you take the loss. And no, going into a bank doesn't work. They tell you to go to a money changer. So there's all this concern about how the condition of the money. Let's all pray for an end to this system and an end to their fiat money and their digital money and their rule where they don't actually do anything. They do everything by trickery, and that's how they've got the rule of the world. I'll see you tomorrow. Please help with a donation if you can. Anything to the PayPal address, the bank address. It's not easy. I'm not mentioning names. YouTube on the 25th, which is about 3 days, are introducing a new form of strikes and penalties. So I'm being a little tongue-tied, not saying as much as I would like to, but you can fill in the missing dots. Okay. I say bye for now.